Good morning. This is World History video number 3. The rise of dictators in Europe and the start of World War II in Europe. Let's start with Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin was the head of the Communist Party in the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union is the former Russia. Please remember that during World War I, Russia was the most backwards country in all of World War I. They lacked industry. So after World War I, when they drop out in 1917, the United States comes in, joins the Allies. Russia becomes a communist country. They have what's known as the Russian Revolution, and it's led by Lenin. This is where the government owns all the factors of production. There are 4 factors of production that you're going to have to know next year for civics and economics. They would include land, labor, capital, capital goods, and entrepreneurship. You need to make sure you write those down. You'll need to know those 4 factors of production next year for civics and economics. Joseph Stalin was a hardline communist. He would have these purges that he would lead. Anybody that he felt was becoming soft or wanted to change from communism, he wanted to eliminate, and he would make a spectacle out of it. So put you into fear, or he would kill you, or he would ship you off to Siberia, and no one from your family would ever hear or see you again, and your family was even afraid to talk about it. Why? Because of the fact that they too may end up in Siberia, or also they may end up dead on the street for everybody to see their body. In Italy, you have Mussolini. Mussolini comes to power, and they wear black shirts if you're showing your support for Mussolini. Mussolini leads Italy out of the Depression, because remember, Europe was depressed at the end of World War I. They were no longer the most powerful continent. The United States is. But remember, we return to isolationism. Now, as I was saying, Mussolini leads Italy. They start rebuilding, but the Italians grow restless. Mussolini's promised all this stuff, he hasn't come through. So Mussolini takes his well-trained troops, and they invade Ethiopia. Ethiopia is on the continent of Africa. They were one of the poorest countries in the world. Mussolini picked them on purpose. Why? He had to have somebody that he could defeat, and defeat handily. Ethiopians lacked machine guns. They lacked weapons. They were fighting with sticks and clubs. They were fighting with rocks. They only had 1 airplane in Ethiopia, and they didn't have any pilots. When the president of Ethiopia wanted to go somewhere, they had to bring the pilot in from a foreign country to fly him where he wanted to go. So Ethiopia is defeated by Mussolini and his black shirts. In addition to this, you have the rise of Adolf Hitler, of course, in Germany. After World War I, Germany becomes a republic. That's going to be stated in the Versailles Treaty. Okay? In that treaty, the Weimar Republic is developed. And a lot of the leaders of Germany during this point in time are Jews. Jews were people that were normally conservative. They saved their money. They had money when difficulties came. Okay? Well, Hitler comes to power through the Weimar Republic. He leads this Nazi party. And as a democratic country, for the first time, they were used to having a Kaiser, a king. Well, in this Weimar Republic, you believed in having opposition, as we do in the United States. We have the Democrats and Republicans, of course. They oppose each other. One has one view, one has another. The Nazi Party had different views than what the Weimar Republic had. And so Hitler becomes very popular from the Nazi Party. Why? He could speak. He was a very eloquent speaker. People followed him because of his speeches. It's kind of like people following people on social media. Whenever people tell you to go out and do something, some of you will try to do that, okay? Because you follow them, you believe in this person through social media. Well, Hitler had this great following throughout Germany. Then the Nazi Party decided that they would start creating events that only the Nazis could stop. For instance, they burned down the General Assembly building, the Congress building, where the Weimar Republic worked, okay? Now, when they burnt this down, the only people that could calm the fears were Hitler and the Nazi Party. And so the Weimar Republic can continue to promote Hitler into higher rankings till finally Hitler takes over. In 1936, Hitler has been putting people to work by building buildings and government buildings. He's going to use them for war because Hitler wants to take over the world and become the most dominant power in the world. He wants to return Germany to its grandeur and its glory before World War I. He feels that World War I had punished Germany too severely. So anyway, Hitler begins his romp. He first starts in 1936 by hosting the Olympic Games, in which he wants to show the world the power and grandeur of the Nazi Germany. And he brings in everybody from around the world for sporting events. In addition to this, you have the rise of the Japanese. Japan wants to industrialize. They're an island. They lack natural resources. So they began to take over places in Asia. In addition to this, Japan becomes angry with the United States because we refuse to sell them aviation fuel, gasoline for aviation, and other gasoline products. They become angry at us, and of course that's going to lead to Pearl Harbor. In Spain, you have Franco. Spain will be neutral again, but Franco is kind of an ally to the fascists that rise. Okay, they try to stay out of World War I. World War II. They don't get involved. So Hitler begins to march, to attack. He begins his assault starting in 1938. Germany invades Austria. Austria is one of the new countries that were developed at the end of World War I. And Britain and France are too weak to fight. They go along with it. A Munich Pact is signed with Germany, France, and Britain, saying that Hitler can have Austria and other countries. And of course, Hitler says, I don't want any more. I'm happy with that. Okay? In 1939, Hitler marches into Czechoslovakia and takes over Czechoslovakia. That too was part of what had formerly been Germany during World War I. And Hitler wants to return it to Germany because it was wrongly taken away, he said, from them at the Versailles Conference. Now, Germany and the Soviet Union in 1939 sign a non-aggression pact, meaning that Hitler will not attack Stalin, and Stalin agrees not to attack the Nazi Germany. Now, of course, Stalin was smart enough not to believe Hitler. Hitler makes a mistake when he does invade the Soviet Union. Now, he does that during the wintertime, and of course, we know that Napoleon had a very hard time when he tried to invade that. In September of 1939, Hitler invades Poland, again, another new country, one that is right there next to Germany, trying to restore Germany to its homeland. This time, Hitler uses a new type of war known as the Blitzkrieg. Okay, football has a blitz. Okay, that's where it gets its name from, Nazi Germany. Blitzkrieg means lightning war. You start attacking by first bombing the land, the territory, and then outside of that, outside of the country, you have trucks with mounted artillery and trucks containing soldiers that would come in. And within 24 hours, Poland was under German rule. In 1940, Germany continues to attack. They invade Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg. In June of 1940, France is invaded, and pretty quickly France surrenders. Why? They're too weak. They're not strong enough to fight. Britain is the only country that stands between the United States and a totalitarian dictator in Nazi Germany.